shift 9 till 10 p.m. So actually, I guess more than 12 hours, and I'm absolutely knackered.
I worked from 9 till 10 today, except I ended up staying late till like 10:30.
Hospital handover meeting in the doctor's mess at 21:30.
If you fuck up in this job, what if someone dies or like gets really unwell? And I think the anxiety is just like soul destroying.
I'm about to have my coaching call. It's been so hard to figure out where to start and what to do at this stage where I'm finally thinking, oh, I want to leave medicine. I have had my first discovery call with Emily Fullylove, who's a coach, and I'm really, I feel so optimistic. I could cry when I think about it. I'm stepping into my body again and really working out and trying to take care of my mind and body. I can feel happy because I've got hope.
And choose which trajectory and which path your life actually goes down. I'm granting myself that. Hi, I'm Helena, a former NHS doctor, and I'm here today to tell you about why I left medicine after 1 year practicing as a junior doctor. I'm going to be very frankly honest today and try and leave nothing out. This is my genuine experience. Now, you could try and watch the news to understand what is going on in the NHS right now. They'll use words like underfunding, understaffing, long waiting lists, but what do those words really mean on a granular level? Well, for me, it meant sobbing, hyperventilating under my mask because I had too many jobs piling when I'd be on call for one person to manage. And my bleep would be going off so many times whilst I was trying to complete urgent tasks and examinations that I would be scared I would miss the wrong one and someone would get very sick or even die. So for me, that is what those words mean. And I think a lot of you would actually be very shocked to hear exactly what it's like to work in this system. The words stress and pressure to me don't really convey the weight of responsibility, the stress of the job that is there potentially. Not every day necessarily and not every job, but in many jobs and in many circumstances. Now, if you are a doctor who is feeling underpaid, undervalued and stuck in the system, as I was, I want you to know that you're not alone in the slightest, and actually now, this is the majority of us. This is the majority of you guys. A big part of why I wanted to make this video was because I was searching for videos like this several months ago, and I'm here to show you that nothing bad happens if you choose to leave the profession. I'm still here, I'm still kicking, and actually I feel so much healthier, happier, and there is much more lightness to my life than there was when I was working in the NHS. And if you guys are in the position that I was a few months back and you're sitting on the fence thinking about leaving medicine, you're having your own medicine referendum, should I stay or should I go? I have something really exciting that I'm building for you guys. It's a free workshop that I'm going to run on YouTube, and it's all about finding your own clarity, confidence and motivation so that you can move forwards, get on track to where you want to be and figure it out with certainty, okay? Just because I left medicine, I'm not an advocate for leaving medicine. I'm definitely not anti-medicine, but I am anti-suffering. As much as I'm going to tell my own story in this video, I've also thrown in the realizations and the epiphany moments I had that helped me come to the conclusion that actually I do want to leave medicine, and I really hope those are helpful for those of you who are looking for clarity and feeling stuck in medicine. Before I go any further in this video, I just want to say I know some people are probably going to think that doctors leaving the NHS are the reason for the understaffing, for the essential sinking ship feeling that there is going on in the NHS right now. I just want to say I don't know how you guys have misconstrued it, because this isn't a chicken and egg situation. It's not what came first. We're talking about highly trained, dedicated professionals, some of the most altruistic and genuine people in our society are leaving the career that they spent decades getting into and working hard for. These aren't people who are going to leave for no reason. This is probably going to be the hardest decision that many of them make or have ever made in their lives. And it's because the system feels like a sinking ship. It is not to do with the fact that, oh, this doctor left, so now we're understaffed. It is the system. You guys, I would not want to continue working in a healthcare system like this because I couldn't provide to my patients the kind of care standards that I would want for my own family or friends or for myself. I don't dehumanize patients. I don't see them as a tick box on a list of to-do things. I value people's quality of life. I value that they're not in pain. I value that they have a good standard of care available to them. But if you're like me and you want to provide a high standard of care to people, really give them your time, energy, effort, and be super thorough with everything that you do and meticulous. This system does not facilitate that. It creates a negative feedback cycle for doctors who care so much because they don't get to deliver the kind of care that they want to. So what happened this year? Let me tell you, this year was a mix of incredible highs, but terribly hard-hitting lows as well. Going from being a medical student to being a doctor is probably the steepest learning curve that I've gone through in my life. And I will be honest with you, I did have doubts about medicine being my forever career, even when I was in medical school. And I think that's really normal. I don't actually know a single doctor who has come through the whole system and process unscathed and not thought, oh, I could do something different, or is this really it for me, or been completely steadfast when it comes to this career. But I needed to see what it was really like to work as a doctor, and the things that kept me going through med school was thinking about the autonomy, responsibility, and basically just getting paid for doing what I'd pretty much been doing on placements and learning about for so many years, which I definitely love. I do love medicine as a subject, as a topic. It's completely fascinating and it applies to everyone in the whole world. And I'll tell you, actually, there were so many things that I did love about medicine this year. I did love spending time with patients, building meaningful relationships, helping people through difficult times, being a good communicator and sharing information and knowledge with families, learning on the job where possible, and seeing such a variety of different things on my placements. But this year also involved so many things that I really hated. I saw so many things and I felt so many things, and I lived a lifestyle that I didn't like. And I'd heard this principle, polarity creates clarity, and what that means is that if you have a polarized response to something, in that you strongly dislike it or you strongly like it, it creates clarity. So polarity creates clarity. For me, I experienced a lot of resistance towards my job, and I do think that when you have strong feelings like that, you can understand that maybe you're not quite on the right path, or that if you continue, you're going to be coming up against resistance constantly, potentially for the rest of your life. So what are some of the things that I am talking about? I don't want to divulge any actual details, and I won't divulge any actual details of cases that I worked on, people that I worked with, or the particular hospital or system that I worked in. But I will say that I hit rock bottom after a set of night shifts during Christmas, and I'd been delivering bad news to families to the point where I didn't want to see my own family or friends at Christmas. I did, but I didn't want to. Frankly, I felt sad and withdrawn and even guilty for experiencing happiness when other people were experiencing such sadness. And I know that that's not right, but I think being someone who is empathic and sensitive to the jobs that I'm doing, the people that I'm speaking to, it really started to affect and take a toll on me. I started to feel very jealous of other people's normalcy. And by normalcy, I would mean very simple things like having weekends, knowing that you could go to an exercise class at the same time every week, being able to eat meals at the same time every day, use the bathroom when it's convenient and when you want to. Like, these are such normal things, but I wasn't getting to do them because my job was putting so much stress, pressure, and constantly my bleep was always going off. So I was always running around trying to fix things. I started to feel really, really deeply unhappy, and frankly, I was definitely burned out. And I would start to think, is this all there is for me? Is this how I'm going to live my life forever? Am I willing to do this for the rest of my working years of my life? But I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know what else I could do to create money in my life. And I was actually plagued by the idea of throwing away everything that I had worked so hard for, which is called the sunk cost fallacy, basically. That is when because of your prior investment into a project or something in your life. It can be anything like a job or relationship. Because of all the investment, time, energy that's gone into building it, you're so scared to lose it, even when the prospect of continuing might not be optimal or a good further investment. And I actually wrote out a list of reasons for leaving medicine, and I'm going to read it to you, and it is kind of harrowing. So number 1 was overwhelm at work, too many things happening at once, not enough resources to get there. Number 2, crying at work. And like I said earlier, I would be wearing a mask and hyperventilating, crying. I couldn't see because my glasses would fog. Yeah, and nurses would come up to me and speak to me whilst I was actively sobbing, asking me to do things. Yeah. Number 3 is actually seeing others crying at work. And when I say others crying at work, remember, I was the most junior in the team. So I'm talking about my seniors at work crying. These are the people whose shoes I would have been in potentially a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. And I'm not talking about an isolated incident. I've seen multiple of my seniors crying on the job whilst I've been working with them because of the stress and pressure that there is on the system. The 4th thing is feeling a sense of guilt when you want to take annual leave or sick leave, which is pretty crazy because we all need breaks and we all need rest. But if I was to go off, often the system would not account for doctors actually using their annual leave and sick leave, and it would leave the wards short-staffed, which is crazy because the system should really account and have a cushion that allows staff to take their annual leave and sick leave when they need to. Number 5, would then be when you did request annual leave, that often they would reject it. And I had colleagues, plural colleagues, who didn't even get their annual leave requests for their own weddings approved when they would give bountiful notice, which to me is just crazy. Number 6 is being taken advantage of by seniors. And that doesn't happen all the time, doesn't happen everywhere, but it does happen. Number 7 was sleeping on my days off. Rather than enjoying my life, I would spend my days off in recovery. Number 8 was actually trying to speed up how I worked to barely keep up with the job. And then because people would see that you could work faster and more efficiently, which by the way is pushing it because it's exhausting, they would expect that of you all the time. And it's not sustainable to work like that. Number 9, I'm trying to think of a way to say this in a very coherent and descriptive way. Basically, junior doctors in their first year of working, if you went straight through the system like I did with maybe 1 year of intercalated degree, you're about 24, 25 years old, and you're expected to carry the weight and responsibility of the job with the same level of professionalism of doctors who have several decades more experience. And I did find it quite draining, and I found it difficult, and you do have to put away your personality. And if something was emotionally damaging, I would often feel that it was not a discussion that was suitable to have with the people who I worked with who were much, much older than me, because it was so normalized for them. And sometimes that would create more stress and burden inside me. Number 10 is completely messed up circadian rhythms. And my shift work, I did night shifts maybe every other month, I would say. Honestly, it messed up my mood, it messed up my digestion, it messed up my skin, it messed up my lifestyle. And in case you guys haven't seen or haven't heard, it's qualified or classed as a probable carcinogen in humans. And that's due to melatonin suppression when you experience bright lights at nighttime. But yeah, there were some days I didn't know which way was up or down. I set my pan on fire at home cooking after a night shift because I was so exhausted. Number 11 is that your needs go on the back burner. Like I said, drinking water, going to the bathroom, eating meals at normal times every day, you name it, it would get delayed or even simply omitted on one shift or another. Number 12 is nervous system overdrive. If you're wearing a bleep, the sound it makes, is jarring, and you get primed to your bleep going off. So I got so jumpy about everything in my life, and my nervous system was constantly in that state. Number 13 was unbearable shift patterns. There was 1 week that I worked Monday to Sunday. 4 out of 7 of those shifts were 12, 13-hour shifts, and the others were just standard days, which are I think 9 till 5:30. But by the Saturday, I think I was really losing it. I was really starting to lose it a bit, and my mental health was completely in the gutter after that week. Even if you do get time off either side, as in you'd get a couple of days off either side of a 7-week pattern like that, the number of hours you work being greater than 70 in 1 week, it's really too much, and it's not sustainable, and it's not healthy. And then number 14 was just simply not being able to be the best version of myself. There is a really big reason why I didn't film any YouTube videos or talk about my experience online. In fact, I basically just cut off from most people in my life, my friends, my family. Most people didn't see me for like a year. I couldn't be the best friend, partner, daughter, sibling, client or customer in my life because I was frankly just so tired, so exhausted, and my mental health was really poor, that I just couldn't be the kind of person who I wanted to be. Something that really, really hit hard was when I would open up conversations with friends or my partner, and I would find out that they were also struggling because I was struggling. And this hit me like a ton of bricks, you guys. What is out of alignment for you is out of alignment for other people. So if you're staying in a position where your mental health is going to be negatively affected, it is by proxy going to have a knock-on effect onto other people who are close to you. So even just for that reason, it is vital that if you're working in this profession, you find peace, you find enjoyment, you find a way for your mental health to thrive, because otherwise it's going to adversely affect all your relationships as well. As you can tell by that list, I was struggling really, really badly. And on top of that, I had consultants telling me that I needed to complete X number of audits, contribute to research articles, prepare for my further exams, apply to XYZ. And I tell you, nothing in me wanted to do any of that. I was barely making ends meet. So what I'm trying to say is nothing in me wanted to go on to F2. So first year training in the UK is Foundation 1, F1, and the second year, which kind of comes in a couple with F1, is F2. There was nothing in me that wanted to go and continue my F2 training year. And there was this saying that I learnt last year whilst I was going through sort of self-development journey and trying to figure out what I wanted. And it was, never take advice from someone who isn't where you'd want to be. So if someone is at a later stage of life than you and they're telling you to do something that helped them get to where they are, why would you do it unless you want to be in their shoes at some point in the future? And frankly, I realized that I didn't want to live their lifestyle. And it wasn't about them particularly. It was about working in medicine later on in my life, working the kind of hours that I saw the consultants and my seniors working, as in the registrars. And I didn't want to do what they were doing. I could see how stressed they were. And I was like, this job will kill me, the level of stress it puts me under. I will die prematurely. And just realizing that I didn't see myself in my future being a consultant, a registrar, a higher level SHO, I realized this isn't for me. So what did I do? This is kind of funny, but I actually went on YouTube. Like, you guys, if you're watching this, you've gone on YouTube and watched videos about people who had either left or were leaving medicine. And I fired off emails to some of them and I asked them about how they got there and the process that they went through to make their decision, because for a very, very long time, I was completely torn, because I was like, I can't leave this behind. There's so much energy, time, and investment. And I love medicine. I love the human body. I find it fascinating. I enjoy putting everything together and evidence-based medicine. But the system, the lifestyle, the rota, the stress is killing me and my mental health. So what happened after that was I ended up hiring my own coach. And a coach is kind of like a therapist, but it's not exactly a therapist, because there's much more of a bias to action, and rather than reflecting on the past so much, it's about looking towards the future and future planning. My coach had formerly left medicine, and she helped me to uncover what I really wanted. And I remember, you guys, that I was still getting up every day, going to work. I was still doing the best that I could possibly do, despite the burnout, despite the exhaustion. And I had this thought whilst I was standing in the lift one time, and I realized that what you're not changing, you're choosing. Getting up and continuing to go to a job every day that doesn't light you up, and to something that you actively feel resistance to every morning, that's a choice. And making changes is possible. There's always a possibility for choice. There's always a possibility for changing your life. Now, having the balls to effing do it is a whole other thing. And I did live in that space for a long time where I was just trying to gather the strength to go through with my resignation. But guys, there is so much in life that is outside of your control, and I wanted to take control. And for me, this was one boundary that I could set that says, hey, this system isn't working for me, and I'm not happy here, and I actually will change my path because of that. So yes, I made my decision. I handed in my resignation and I worked the final 3 to 4 months in medicine. And in that time, working with my coach, I learned how to deal with it so well. I learned about the random nature of medicine, how to deal with an external locus of control, how to manage my stress and anxiety with in the moment grounding and breathing techniques. I learned so much stuff that actually by the end of my job, I was like, it's not as bad as it used to be, but I was still so certain in my decision. And I think the weight had been lifted knowing that I didn't have to do it forever. So what am I going to do next? I'm really excited because, yes, I've told you about all of my push factors that pushed me away from medicine, but I also had pull factors that pulled me towards something different. And in case you're not familiar with me or my YouTube channel, this was a well-being YouTube channel when I was a medical student. The stuff that I wanted to talk about, the stuff that lights me up and that I spend my days off thinking about and reading about and listening to podcasts about are self-development, human well-being, and reaching your human potential. I am an advocate for living an incredible life, so actually it did feel pretty much like a no-brainer that I should work in the self-development industry. I've always wanted people to live well. That was pretty much my founding reasons for going into medicine, but now I get to do it in a different capacity. I will say that it is terrifying starting over in an industry that you have no experience in, and I was so nervous about it for so long. But over time, it's turned into excitement. I'm pushing the boat out and I have started my own coaching business. I was really fortunate in that by the time I'd left medicine, I'd already started working with a handful of clients because I spoke to my colleagues and friends about what I was doing and was fortunate enough to attract some clients to me before I even left my profession. So in my tiny little smidgen of free time that I had when I wasn't working as a doctor, I was already coaching my clients. If you guys are curious and interested in coaching or knowing more about it, have a look at my website link down below because I've written about coaching, what exactly it is, because I do think it's relatively new, at least in the UK. Like I said, if you are a doctor who's feeling underpaid, undervalued and stuck in the system, and you do want to figure out what to do with your life, and if you're really thinking about leaving on the daily like I was, then have a look at my free masterclass that I'm going to be doing on YouTube next week. I'll put the link in my bio down below, and I would love to see you guys there. I know exactly how it feels. I've lived it, I've been there, and I'm showing you can get through it. Things can get better, whether it's inside or outside of medicine, because that's also what I've helped my clients to figure out. And some of them have stayed and some of them are now much happier with how they're working in the system. Anyway, this was quite a heavy video, which to be fair, I wanted to make it and I wanted to speak about it now because, in case you haven't noticed, doctors are now voting for industrial action. I do think pay restoration is only one facet of improving lifestyle and morale in the NHS, but it's vital. It really is vital. And frankly, there is going to be a higher rate of attrition of doctors if this doesn't get rectified. All in all, thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. I hope that if you're not a doctor, this shed a bit of light on the current system. And if you are a doctor and you relate, hey, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. If you agree with the stuff I said, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, I'll be putting out more coaching content and more medicine-related, post-medicine, ex-doctor content. So stick around and subscribe if you're interested in that. I'm sending you all lots of love and I hope you have an amazing week. Bye!